Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Finally feels like fall.
My favorite time of the year.
Mine too. I hope it's gonna last and it's not just gonna turn into like winter by next week. I'm just gonna
Okay.
wait another minute or two just to give people some time. The email, I don't think the email went out this morning, but I know the text did, so hopefully people got it. Good morning, Sophia.
Good morning. Sorry to turn to video because it's crazy over here.
It's okay.
How's everyone doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for asking.
Who's going to triple play? Did you guys register? I am. And Fran, she's
Yep.
going. The Remax party is on December 11th. I know they're doing this 1 week later than usual. I'm not sure why they did that. Fran, do you know?
I think somebody else had the week before booked for something, and but it's okay. And there's a lot of CE credit that's waiting to be approved for New Jersey. And if you're in New York, a lot of it's already approved. But the good thing is that even though it's not approved yet, it will be approved. So if you still need your CE credit, it's a great place to do it. And lots of the boards have free lunch down there in the convention center for all the agents. I know North Central does, I think, and so does Greater Bergen. So there's a lot of things in the event at night over at Caesars. The opening event, if you're going early enough, is great because it's free and it's it's you can do it very economically if you plan it right,
Yeah, last year some of the boards or MLSs gave out like a free light breakfast that you're able to just go and grab something, and then the boards do offer the lunch. If you're a member of me like me, I have 3 boards each day, like it was a different well for Greater Borg, and you added me as a guest, so I was able to go in as a guest.
Yeah.
The other 2 I was able to get in, and it's a lot of fun. And I have to say, I always win something when I'm at those events. I don't leave without winning.
And you can definitely get, like Jonah said, like your coffee and continental breakfast, and then some mornings, they have like muffins and stuff. But you don't have to spend money on that kind of stuff. And then the lunches are pretty good. I mean, I'm not sure if we're doing lunch both days when we're down there this year for Greater Bergen. I think most of you are North Central, but.
Right. All right, so we have about 28 people. Well, I guess we'll get started. Good morning, everyone, for those of you that are just joining in. So today I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on dot loop. So I know a lot of you have been questioning, saying that, why do we need to enter? Let me just mute everybody. And if you need to speak, please unmute yourself. So many of you are finding it tedious when you're writing an offer or a listing. Why do we need to enter like your name, your license, your broker's name, their license? So we just thought maybe some of you know, or maybe you don't, but it can be on the brokerage level. Like we can't make that change for you. You're going to have to do it. So I hope you guys take notes if you have not created a profile on your dot loop. So I hope you guys, obviously this is being recorded. So if you're driving, obviously you can't take notes. You can always go back and watch this, but we're just going to show you.
Yeah. And if they have their laptop with them, they should open it up and do it right along with you.
Yeah, so it'll be so much easier if you follow along. And then after, obviously that's not going to take us the whole hour. So I wanted to leave the floor open for you guys to ask me questions on, and Fran is here, so feel free to ask us on any of the new forms, if you guys are having any issues with having clients sign it, and what we're here to help. So I'm gonna just go ahead and share my screen with you guys shortly. All right, so you guys see my screen, correct? Fran, you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I have to say for signature homes, just so you know, they are working in progress. For the most part, you guys do have the forms. So if you know, because I know we have a lot of agents from Closer today, your screen might look a little different today. However, hopefully by tomorrow, you will see exactly what you see on my screen. All right, so at the top where you,
So now, one quick thing,
yes,
tell them, you know, with, when they're opening up that loop now, it's coming up as showing time. They
Yes,
just
that
need to
has been
log in
changed.
with their normal stuff, right?
yeah, so let me log out. So when you go into .loop, if you haven't signed in yet, and in the last couple of days, you'll notice there has been a change. And I did question them what happened. They said agents that were using Zillow, .loop, and Showing Time, they were getting frustrated why they had 3 separate logins. So what they did is they condensed them into one. So if you go and sign in, it's gonna, you're gonna see this that says Showing Time plus .loop plus Zillow. So you log in. If you don't know your password, just, you know, click on forgot password. You'll be able to reset it. And then mine was already saved, so I was able to just log into my profile. So this is my actual agent profile with Remax. So yours should look exactly identical to what I'm seeing right now. When Fran Blakely did a training a while back, she did show us that, let's say you have already created a loop. So I'm just going to use this as an example. You always want to make sure you scroll at the bottom. This is where you can actually assign people and add them. If you want them auto-populated, this is like the best way to also get that done. So make sure when you create a loop, go add your clients, whoever needs to sign forms that you want them to sign through .loop, you want to add them here at the bottom of your listing, okay? So just make sure that this is where you have your clients. However, I'm going to go back. So under agent profile, right, you're going to click on my account. This is my account. So here you can add a photo if you want to. You don't have to. Your name, I'm a realtor agent, my email address, my phone number, company, Remax Select, obviously your job title. So yours would either be broker associate, sales associate, whatever your title is, you'll add it there. You're going to have your NRDS ID number there at the bottom. Make sure you have yours. If it's not, please add your NRDS ID. If you don't know what your ID is, you can just go on Google and say, look up NRDS ID. It's going to ask you for your last name and email, and it will give you what your ID number. Now, where you want to change your profile is you're going to click on profiles. What you see on my screen, just so you know, I'm an admin for all the offices, so I do have a lot of profiles, but I'm going to click on my agent one, which you will have just probably 1 or 2. So this is your agent details. So Adona Brahimi, my phone number, broker license number. So it's very important. So me, I have my own because I'm a broker of my own office. So if I'm writing a listing that needs to be signed by a listing broker, I'm signing my own. This is where you're going to ask your manager for their license number if you don't already know it. So this is where you will enter your manager of the office license number. Office ID number, that's going to be Remax Select license number. You can also, if you don't know it, you can ask one of the admins from the office. You can ask your manager. Usually we have them, all the licenses are right as soon as you enter the office. They're all already posted in front as soon as you enter. If you don't know, you, like I said, ask your manager. So that's where the office ID will go. Broker agent ID number. I just tested this out with Loop. That's your GSMLS ID number. So that's where you put your own ID number. Now, if
have
you
a
have
question.
yes.
Can it be an NJMLS ID number?
Yes, I was just gonna say that if you're primarily an NJMLS user, you're gonna enter your NJMLS ID number. I do have to say that the broker, so, I was just in a meeting before this. She had said to me when Dotlu was first created, I guess they kind of inherited GSMLS. So they had created this for GS, but you on NJMLS, it's not going to ask you for the ID number, Avo. But if you want to add your NJMLS ID number, you can on there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then obviously agent license number, that's going to be your own real estate license number. So then here is, obviously you're going to have Remax Select. It should already have, does someone have a question?
Me, I
Yes.
think that the broker license number, whoops, is the number that is assigned by the state for the office. Not my, like as a manager, it's not my license number.
So where you sign on the listing agreement, because we did a test, it does where you put the broker's name, it had this number populated there.
Huh, okay. I always put the office license number there, but that's okay.
Well, it auto-populated as, it has like the broker manager name.
Okay,
So company, this is where you make sure you enter your office address. So Remax Select or Remax Signature Homes, the address of the office. So make sure you put in one, whatever it is. So this is for Morristown, 1 Madison Avenue, Morristown, New Jersey, 07692. Make sure once you enter that information, you save.
Wait, what was the broker agent ID? Who is that again?
Broker agent ID number, this is my GSMLS ID number. You can enter your NJMLS ID number. So
But it says broker, so that would be,
you still
like-
enter yours because when you're creating a listing, it's gonna go under your name.
oh, okay.
I will double check, Fran, but it says broker license number is not the office because when we created a loop, which you'll see, it comes under the broker manager.
mine's coming up as 1429971, which has always been our office broker license number with the state.
So this
So
is
that's
mine
why-
from Morristown. So I
Huh?
have it here, office ID number.
And what's yours coming up as?
Well, mine is 1429994 because that's for the office.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Wait, so did you put that, when you set it up, did you put that number in there? Is that
I
why? it's on the
did.
copy? That's
Yeah.
why, because it's.
No, I
all-
just meant, it's not supposed to be like your license number,
supposed to be
the
the
office
office.
license number.
It is the
Right,
Yeah,
office
yeah, yeah.
license.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. The same, we're saying the same thing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, it's
So
not
yeah.
mine. It's the office license number. So obviously every office is gonna have a different license number.
Right,
right.
so now I'm confused. On the broker detail. Excuse me.
You can
profile
ask
detail.
your manager what number should go in there.
Yes.
They
So-
should be able to tell you.
And
But
it's
we have
also
broker
hanging on
license
the
number
wall.
and office ID number. So what's the difference between both?
Say that one more time.
So you have broker license number and you have office ID number. So,
It's the MLS number for the MLS.
That's
so-
your MLS ID number.
no, you have broker agent ID and you have broker license number under profile details.
Broker license number is your office manager license number, right? Your office manager is signing listings and sometimes it asks for their license number, right? So it auto populates. So that's their license. Office ID number, that's the office license number. Broker
Got
agent ID is your MLS ID number. And then agent license number is your own individual license.
Okay, got it.
And if you guys don't have those numbers, obviously just please ask your office manager or the admin, they will have them. Or if you're going to the office, they'll be posted there for you. Make sure you save, because if you don't save it, it's not going to work. Now, it is not perfect. I just put in a request because obviously we do have a lot of users and we want to make this very efficient for all of you. I did say that I wanted this to be more detailed, so like actually be specific for GSMLS, NJ, Monmouth, Hudson, because we do have a lot of offices. So they're looking into that to see if they can make that more precise and easy for us to use. But for the most part, you know, it will be better than what we have been working with.
Wait, last question before you move on, sorry. On the company, it says company owner name.
You don't have to because it's not going to auto-populate anywhere.
Okay,
So if you went to your profile, so I didn't add the owner's name. Obviously, there's no forms that we're filling out that it's going to require that information. Now I'm going to go back, so just so you guys see it, and creating a loop. Another thing that I want to show you guys, if you noticed, we did make some changes. It does look better. So when you're going to create a loop, so you can go and click on GS, now it's specifically. So if you're creating a GS MLS listing loop, New Jersey MLS, Hudson, they will all have all the required forms, so you guys don't have to go and look for forms that you need. Now, if you're creating something on NJMLS, but you're also listing it on GSMLS, you can just go to templates and add the form that you need. But so for now, I'm just gonna click on GSMLS listing loop. Okay. So we made it easy. So just remember, if it says required, that means it's required. Tracking form is first. Seller property condition statement, that's required for every single listing, whether it's a REO, investment, what else? Anything, whatever it is, the seller has to fill it out. So please make sure you have your clients fill this out. They can check unknown. But the flood zone, we have went over this, but I just want to show you, you have to advise them to go on the flood maps, FEMA, and find out whether the property is in a flood zone.
Hi, good morning. I have a question. You said we can go on what website to see if it's a flooding zone? FEMA?
FEMA.
Is that just FEMA.com?
FEMA, Fran, do you have we can send you the,
Okay.
which office are you with?
Closer?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Does
in
it
Closter,
show
you can
right
just go to
in the
Realist, by the way.
disclosure statement, Adona? Does it show the website in the disclosure statement?
It's more about like information, so let me see.
Yeah, but I think once you click on it, it can go to the flood search, because I did it myself.
By the way, in NJMLS, you go to the Realist and that has the flood map in there.
mhm.
I have
And
to
even
make
Garden State too.
New Jersey MLS, the more accurate thing now they added was the New Jersey tax records, which is the same as what's on the Garden State. But if you go to New Jersey real.to-flood-planning, I think you can do that. I'm not sure. One of them, you can do the flood search also, but there are lots of options. And the one that I did, here, I'm just gonna go while we're sitting here. I'll go on this site on my other computer.
All right, so while you do that, because I don't want to just spend time on the seller disclosure, because I want to make sure you guys see what it would look like once, since we created our profile. So obviously the CIS, the wire fraud, dual agency consent, consent for electronic signatures. ARW, order plan, accept, decline. So make sure you offer it to both sellers and buyers. You can decline it. Lead paint disclosure, I did mark it as required, but obviously if the property was built after 1978, it is not required, so you can just have the admin, she can go onto your profile and just change it to optional. However, if it's required, I did make the lead paint brochure required because you guys need to have to send this out to them along with the lead paint. The other one is the affiliated business disclosure.
I'm sorry, can we go back on ARW order plan, accept,
Yes.
decline? What, I should have not used that. What is that and why is it required?
So with us, Remax Select, we offer a service because we have so many offices and we want you guys to be able to provide as many services to your clients. So we are associated with the home warranty. We offer this to buyers and sellers in the event that they choose to offer. Let's say your seller, they might have a home where they know there will be issues with the home inspection and they tell you like, hey, Mickey, I don't want to offer them anything, but they may be open to offering them a 1-year warranty. I'm sure we have come across some listings that says seller will offer a 1-year warranty to the buyer.
So this is for the warranty only, correct?
Only for the home warranty,
Okay.
yes. You need to offer it to sellers and buyers. The seller can decline it. If they decline it, that's fine, and they sign it. If you were on the buyer side and your buyer decided to purchase the home warranty and you checked mark yes, make sure the application information is filled out and sent to Denise D'Amato, which her information is right here at the bottom. You can't just say yes and assume they will get the warranty. They get to pick which option they want as well. So because the ARW has to be offered to both buyers and sellers, you must have the affiliated business disclosure signed. So this, you can, this is autofill. So assuming, we added clients and then they sign it. Now you're going to say, what are all these numbers? We did go over it last time, but this is in the event they chose LandQuest title on the buyer side. It's just showing them the cost, what it would cost them per every $1,000 price premium. The title company has to disclose the figures. That's why it's on the disclosure. Guys, if you have questions, feel free to stop me and ask me.
Is there any way the Zoom meeting could be recorded just in
It
case?
is recorded. It is recorded. Our hub is goremaxselect.com. They will all be all of the Tuesday masterminds will have a tab. They're in the process of transferring all of the recordings. So hopefully by end of the week, they will all be there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So here is the GSMLS listing. So this would be my name. Now, I'm the broker, but obviously if you don't have the broker, you can go and add the broker. So I'm the manager for my office. Now you can add as much information as you want for the property. I'm just putting any address, just making this up as an example.
What you also have to remember is some of the forms are required for, they're legal forms that are required, and some are required for compliance with our E&O insurance company. And some are also required with fair housing, that we don't want to pick and choose people that we offer like that home warranty to and everything. So I just wanted to mention that while Adona was getting it ready. Go ahead.
Yes. So this is where for GSMLS, I had told them that on the broker firm, they don't have a field on the profile to add this information. So I told them that this is what I want. So you guys will be able to autofill. but for the most part, it does come up, like especially the broker signature and initials for you. And then I want to just show you the contract of sale after, so you see the numbers, like the license number where it auto populates. Any questions on the listing side? So again, this is where you can add your manager, your sellers. The more information, the more people you add, it will auto populate for you. Okay, so now we're gonna create a buyer loop.
Will this recording be up today or the end of the week? I'm driving and I'm gonna need to watch this on my computer.
We can make sure I send this to you by today. Robert, which office are you with?
Signature. The best office.
All right, so I'll make sure I send this
Thank you.
from today. Yep.
Thanks.
All right, so creating a loop for the buyer. So here is all the required. Again, if it says required, it's required. You have the tracking form. Contact sheet is optional. So some of you had suggested that, you know, when you're submitting your offers, you want to be able to send them who the parties are for the transactions, just to stand out, right? So you guys can use this, not required. But if you do, it's going to help you with the tracking form as well later on. So if you already have the information, just add it here, save it. But again, it's not required, but I did leave it at the top in case you guys don't have to go looking for it. Exclusive buyer agency agreement. I think, you know, by now we have done this multiple times. But if you guys have questions, let me know. So obviously your buyer will be at the top. Do you see how the brokerage firm already came up because we already added Remax Select? Now, if you added Remax Signature Homes, that will auto-populate there for you. Licensees, Adona Brahimi.
And if you add your buyers in with the people at the beginning, they'll at least they'll
Yes.
come for the first top thing, but I don't think they come for number one. So
I believe so too. So let me go and add a buyer just so that we see it.
add me, add me.
I'll add you. Fran.
Blakely, Kely. I use my dump email, franblake@aol.com.
Like that, BLAK.
E@aol.com.
And her role would be a buyer. We don't need to add any of these unless you wanted to, but remember if you, actually, let me just put 824 Franklin Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
This is our Franklin Lakes office, by the way, not her home address, in case you guys wanted to stop by.
Yes, come and visit me.
New Jersey. What's the zip code?
07417.
So we added her as a buyer. And then I have it here. All right. So back to the exclusive agency agreement. Autofill. If that doesn't come up, just autofill. See, buyer's name is already there, Fran. And then buyer agent is me, because remember, I didn't save it before, so it didn't save me. Add it. So it does add you on the first line.
Oh, it does both. It did
Mhm.
both. That's good. Did
So
it in
Fran
the top?
Blakely, Remax Select. The only thing it doesn't add is my name. So Adona Brahimi. The following areas, we're gonna do Bergen County. Again, we have advised you guys, can you leave the entire state of New Jersey? Yes. However, if you're not willing to drive from, why am I not spelling this correctly? If you're not willing to drive from Bergen County to Atlantic County, Ocean County, then don't do the entire state of New Jersey. Only add the counties that you feel comfortable driving to. Remember, buyers can hire you specifically for one property, one town, one county. They can say, you know, Linda Ciardi is really the best agent in Morris County, so I want to hire her to find me a property because I'm looking in Morris County. And then I'm also looking in Bergen County, so I'm going to choose Avo because I know he knows River Edge and I want to be in River Edge. So I'm going to hire him for there. And I can choose, for example, let me think, Danielle Coyle in Monmouth Ocean County because I know she knows that area. So I can choose to hire an agent, different counties.
I have to interrupt. I got a question.
Yes.
This form is filled out when we hook up with the buyer at the first house. Are we filling this out every time we make an offer with them and having them sign it again? I don't understand.
No, you do this one time. This
Right.
is your buyer agency agreement when you first meet them before you even show them a property. Guys, please do not risk trying to say, oh, until I get caught and then I'll have them sign it. Don't risk it. It's not worth your license and all the fines you will probably receive for risking not having the buyer sign it. I'd rather you guys lose a buyer than risk losing your license and being suspended. I don't know. Fran, do you know what the fees are if you don't have this sign and you get caught?
No, we haven't gotten that far, but I'm going to state on Thursday and I think I'm gonna ask those questions because we haven't heard about that yet.
Yes.
So we have to upload this to every offer that we make for the office. Is that right?
You should be creating a loop with your buyer's name. So let's say Adona Brahimi, I'm your client, have a loop and save this agreement into that loop.
Okay.
And you
So
can save it as a PDF, like in case, let's say I hired you as my agent and now you have a loop with my buyer agency agreement and now we're looking in Morris County, Essex County. You can just save this as a PDF. You don't have to have them re-sign it every single loop, every offer you submit. You use the same one.
so you need to see it on every transaction that we send over to the office. Is that right?
Only the ones that's gonna close, Linda. Like if you're writing offers that didn't get accepted, obviously no. But if you're going to close a loop, let's say you submitted an offer in Morris County, Pine Brook, Morristown, Secaucus, Westfield, you're only gonna submit the one file to the admin for the transaction that's closing, not the ones that you submitted the offer.
Right, but
got
the documents will stay in the loop. You could just archive it so that you have a record of the unaccepted offer also, right, Donna?
Correct.
Right.
And just remember the offers that you submit that are not accepted, you guys need to make sure you don't delete them. We have to keep them for 6 months. That's why Dotloop doesn't really let you delete files. They're archived. So let's just say Fran Blakely's only looking at Bergen County. She grew up in Bergen County. She wants to stay in Bergen County. So that's what you write, Bergen County. Now, I'm going to go to line 3, agency disclosure. I'm going to say, you know, Fran, I'm with an office with a company that we have over 17 offices in the state of New Jersey. And if I show you any of the listings that's offered by my company, that's considered a dual agent. So even if it's not my own listing, I don't have my own listing. If my company has a listing, I want to be able to show it and submit an offer for you. So that's where you click, you will check mark buyer's agent and disclose dual agent if the opportunity arises. That could also mean your own listing. Maybe you were working with this, maybe I worked with Fran for 5 months and now I ended up getting a listing in Franklin Lakes where she wants to be. So I want to be able to sell it to her. If she says, you know what, Adona, I'm okay with you showing me listings from your company, but I don't feel comfortable being a dual agent. I want to make sure your fiduciary duty is only to me, and I don't want you to disclose any information with the listing agent or vice versa. She can have me check mark buyer's agent and designated agent if the opportunity arises. That means I can still show her a RE/MAX Select listing. It just can't be, I can't represent the seller, and the designated agency would be that my duties are fully committed to Fran. I don't share anything with the listing agent, which could be another RE/MAX Select office. Any questions on that difference between the two? Because you will have buyers, especially if they don't know you, they're gonna say, well, what's the difference? And I wanna make sure you guys are able to explain that to them. This agreement shall begin on the 24th, right? So today's September 24th. I'm gonna say, Fran, this is a required document for this, from the state of New Jersey, as well as Real Estate Commission. Obviously, we don't know each other. This is my first time meeting you. So I actually feel comfortable that since I'm only going to show you these two properties, I'm going to just make this agreement for one day. Once we meet, if we decide that we're a good fit for one another, we can go ahead and extend the agreement. But for now, since I am required to have this signed before we tour the property, this agreement will expire at midnight. So that's it. It ends at midnight on September 24th. So it's only valid for the day. Now, if you're showing them properties today and tomorrow, right? You can either pick the next day midnight, or you can pick here 1 day, 2 days, whatever you want, 5 days. But I'm sorry, scratch that. This is where you're gonna actually put in where it expires. So if you want to do 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, the weekend, because you're showing them properties today, Saturday and Sunday, it's right here. Or it says days, yes.
Just quick question. Some of the other not our offices, but other realtors are putting the state of New Jersey and the contracts for a year. Can you just speak to that for a second?
Hey, if you can get a buyer to commit to a year, go ahead. I have a buyer agency agreement for 1 year because I know that client buys and sells properties throughout the year. So I'm going to tell them, hey, I'm going to do a 1 year contract so we don't have to keep rewriting these contracts. You can. Now, if you don't know the client, I wouldn't want to commit to somebody for 1 year because I don't know if I want you to waste my time for a whole year if you're not committed to buy a property, right? I would want you to buy a property within, a couple of properties I show you. Hopefully you pick one. So do you really want to have an agreement with someone? You can if you choose to.
Well, it also obligates you to have to follow through with that and work for that buyer for that period of time. If you put New Jersey, that's sort of onerous. I would think if there was a lawsuit, you wouldn't be able to show that you were able to, exercise your skill set on the state of New Jersey, for example.
When you have a buyer sign one of those, just say it's 3 months, 6 months, whatever, are you telling me that we can't fire them? Say we find out they're just not the kind of person we want to work with, and we locked in for 6 months, we can't say to them, I think we should.
You can. So it right here underneath under the term, it says, or blank days. If no days are filled in, then 3 days after broker or buyer receives a written termination notice from the other party, but the protection period set forth in section 5 will remain in effect. So here is within 3 days, 3-day notice, right? So you can, as the buyer's agent, cancel the agreement, or the client can. So now this gives us the opportunity that if somebody, let's say you did a 1 year contract and after 6-7 months, you're like, okay, this person's never going to buy anything. They're just wasting my time. You can go ahead and cancel the contract. So here where it says days or days, if you don't fill this in, it's 3 days after broker or buyer receives a written termination notice. So you can choose to have, yes, Fran.
And then you should send a list of the properties that you showed that buyer and, put that, these properties were shown while under this agreement. So if they were to purchase any of those properties, they would be liable for the commission to you. Mhm.
Correct. So you want to make sure you're keeping track of, especially if you're doing 1 year agreement, you're probably showing a lot of properties. So you want to make sure that you keep track of what you're showing them, right? Because you don't want them to, let's say you show them 5 properties this week and you probably even submitted an offer and you lost. And now that property went under contract, and then 3 months from now, which your listing, your exclusive agency agreement is expired, that property is back on the market because the previous buyer could not obtain a mortgage, you want to be protected, which I'll show you guys on the next page. So, so just keep in mind that both you or the buyer can terminate the agreement in writing. Commission from broker, retainer fee. Again, use this as a selling point for you. We are not collecting a retainer fee, at least for now. So use that to your advantage, saying, you know what, I trust that we're going to work really well together. We will not be collecting a retainer fee from you. Commission, be proud of who you are. Show your value. Don't shy away from there's no norm. There's no norm of 2%. There's no norm of 2.5 or 3 or whatever you feel like you deserve. That's what you're going to tell them. Don't shy away. So if you're going to say 2%, 2.5, 3, again, I'm not price fixing. I'm going to use this as an example. I'm probably going to say, you know what, for my services, my fee is 3%. And they're going to say, oh, wait, no, I've never paid before. I can't afford that between the closing cost and the down payment and all of that. Be like, well, I'm going to show you on this agreement where every offer we do submit, I will request that the seller compensate my commission. However, I can only get paid what's on this agreement that says commission from buyer, because my agreement is between you and it's between me and you. So therefore, I do need to put an amount. Guys, I've seen some of you ask us, you're putting 0 here because the seller's offering 2. Please do not do that because you're collecting 0. Okay. Now, if you put 0 here and you do you add the addendum, and then you change the addendum to say, okay, the buyer's broker is getting paid 2, that's fine. But just remember, if you don't have the addendum and this says 0, you're getting 0. All right, so I'm going to say 3%. Here's the protection period. Now, let's say you did this agreement for 1 day and I showed 4 properties today to Fran, and she was thinking about one, but she doesn't really know me and she's not really sure. She has to go and talk to her family. I want to tell her, okay, that's great. However, I'm going to put in, let's say you can put any amount of days that you want to be protected. I've realized that sometimes it takes 3-4 months for the property that's under contract to go back to active, right? So I'm just going to say 180 days. Again, it's not fixed. You guys, whatever you feel comfortable with the buyer. Now, if you had a 1-year listing and you've shown them a lot of listings, obviously, that might be more or less, whatever you feel comfortable.
Donna, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Okay, for actually other, which is actually under what is the commission is.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, can you say in the event of the seller, of the buyer, did not pay me the commission, they are responsible. But if I get commission from the seller, okay, that will be actually, just wanted to clarify others, which is you want to give a little bit comfortable for the buyer. If the seller will pay the commission, in this case, actually, he doesn't have to pay the commission. But I agree with you with the one you have to put 3%, whatever you want. But in the other, I wanted also to give to the buyer or to the tenant, listen, if I don't collect from the seller or from the landlord, you are going to pay me the 3% or 1 month. Can we do that?
So it has to be ascertainable. So they have to know what they're paying. So this on the second page, which I'll show you, you get to kind of confirm with them saying, hey, look, I'm going to get paid. Let's say they can't afford to pay you. You're going to submit offers that request the seller either pay you the commission or offer the buyer a concession, which I'll go over on the next page. But for this one, it can be the buyer, when they're signing this, they need to know that they owe you 3%. it has to be a clean number. It has to be ascertainable.
Okay, I have one more question about the listing agreement. Let's say you have buyers
Mhm.
and those buyers for the button offer did not come through and the listing went with another broker. Is this buyer still, is this agent still protected for this buyer? Because once the listing agreement expired and it goes to another broker, it's done.
Correct. So they're not. So the protection period will only cover if it was within the same listing and you already
But-
showed them the property. If
Right.
the property was active and it was under contract with another buyer and it fell through and the listing was withdrawn and the seller relisted with another brokerage and now your buyer that you were working with went back to that property, you're not, this doesn't apply.
But it will apply only if they don't list with somebody else. Your
Correct.
protection time will apply if that seller would not list with someone else. Okay, thank you.
Correct. You're welcome. So here again, like Fran mentioned earlier, you have it right here. It says that,
Excuse me,
yes,
I have something about what you just said.
yes.
If the property is listed with another agent, but you already showed that property to the buyer, we're already telling the buyer, showing the buyer a list of the houses we showed them. The buyer would be liable to me if I showed the property to the buyer. The buyer would still be liable to me if they went to that property because I already have that property on my list.
So if you have an agreement,
I don't
right?
think so.
Yeah, so if you had, Audrey, if you had an agreement with a buyer and you showed them a listing, that listing went under contract with somebody else or whatever. Let's say you didn't even submit an offer for that property, but you showed it to them and now the property was withdrawn and relisted with another broker. It's a whole new listing.
It's the same house. What does it matter? It's on
Yeah.
my list as a property that I showed them.
I
So
think,
go ahead, Fran.
I think that the listing agreement, I'm talking about two different lists of two different agreements. So I would think, and we can clarify that this will cover the buyer for that property, unless your protection period is run out, then it no longer covers the buyer for that property.
Right.
Yeah, but she's talking about the property, the timing and the property. If the property went to another agent immediately and you already showed it to this buyer, the buyer is liable.
So we're talking about the protection period too. So I think you're confusing the two. So if you had a buyer agency agreement, right, and you showed them the property and you didn't add let's say you only did like 30 days and this expired and now your buyer went back to that property, you're not going to be protected because here it does tell the buyer, if buyer fails to provide that list, buyer may be liable to pay 2 commissions. 1 commission to broker under this agreement and another commission to the new brokerage form. So it does tell the buyer that in the event they go back to the property you had shown them, let's say that you did have 180 days, then they will be required to pay both commissions. Now, Audrey, the question is, who's going to be the first agent to sue a buyer? Because I don't want to be the one on the news saying I sued a buyer for $10,000 for a commission because they went after 3 months and bought the property I have shown. So
It's why it's important to put that 180 days so you get this overflow. If it, I
Yeah.
mean, I think there was just confusion that if the house is relisted with someone else, that doesn't matter as long as it's covered in the protection period. I think Adona was saying if it's outside the protection period and your agency thing expired here, then you're basically put out of that commission on that property. So putting 180 days in there is good because gives enough time for that house to go under contract. If it falls through and they decide and they relist it with someone else, you would, still be covered if it's in, and if your agreement expires, you're still covered within that time frame. You're still covered within that time frame. I
Correct.
think that's where the confusion came in.
I'm
there.
sorry if I did confuse you guys, but yes,
Okay.
what just Fran
There is
said.
one thing I like to clarify. Actually, that 180 protection, if the seller did not list his house with somebody else, that was the 180 or whatever the date will be. But if the seller went and listed with another brokers, that 180 days does not apply. It's done.
No, this is a separate agreement. What we're saying is if this buyer's agency agreement expires, and then there's a 6-month protection period after that. So you showed them 123 Main Street, 123 Main Street, they didn't make an offer on, it went under contract with someone else. Then the deal fell apart, and a year later, let's say these people decide to list the house again. Well, this agreement does not cover them anymore. Does not cover you as the buyer's agent anymore because it's expired and the protection period expired. Do you understand? The listing agreement is totally nothing to do with it. We have to look at the time frame of this agreement. Like 123 Main Street may have been on the market for 5 months when when a donor showed it to me, and I said, oh, it's okay, the house, I'm not really that interested. And then my agreement expires with a donor, and the 180 days expires with a donor, and now that house gets listed. It doesn't matter, can be listed with the same person. This agreement is not in effect anymore, and neither is the protection period at that point if it's listed a year later.
Correct.
so
Even if if I showed Fran, I spend hours in that property and I showed her every single detail, it still would not apply.
Well, actually, this agreement is fantastic for agent,
Right.
because even this has nothing to do with the listing. It has to do with the buyer himself if he went back again. That's awesome. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna keep moving because we have about 7 minutes. So I want to make sure we get through the whole. So here's the commission from seller. Now, if I don't think we, I guess it's like 50-50 when we did like a survey, like, hey, are you seeing more agents, listing agents telling you the percentage, or are they telling you submit your offer and then it's negotiable, and then the seller will decide whether or not that's good enough, right? So you also, if you have a buyer that says, let's say Fran goes, Idona, I really cannot afford to pay you 3%, but if I do find a property and you're able to get the seller to pay either a concession or a commission, then yes. What I'm going to tell Fran is, look, I don't want, a lot of times, like, I'm not going to be able to just find properties that, there might not be a lot of properties that will tell us exactly what they're offering out. I don't want you to miss an opportunity to see other homes on the property. So I would like to introduce you to all the properties that I believe will be acceptable to you, regardless whether the commission is being offered by the seller, right? Because if I have a seller that says, oh, let's say I call the listing agent, let's say I call Karma, she has a listing, and I say, hey, Karma, I have a buyer who's interested in this property. I want to know if your seller is offering out a commission or a concession. She's going to say, oh, there's no specific amount, just submit your offer and put what you're requesting, and then I will provide my listing. Now, that's not fair for me to not show my house to Fran, because maybe the seller will accept my offer with a commission or a concession. So you don't want to deny, I don't want Fran to not have that opportunity to see that house because I don't know what the percentage is up front. So I will say, I would like to introduce you to all the properties. Now, to make her feel comfortable is I'm going to say, you know what, Fran, if you feel comfortable, I will, sorry, 1 second. Let me just see, why is this not checking? Okay. To make you feel comfortable is that any offer we submit, I will ask that the seller pays the broker's commission. But I do want to bring to your attention that if there's multiple offers, or even if it's just our offer, it doesn't mean that you might be in a position where the seller will not accept our offer, because even if they have two where I'm requesting a commission, but the next offer is not, you know, there will be an opportunity that you will lose that offer based on because we're requesting a commission. You have to let the buyer know that. Fran, do you want anything to add to that?
No, I think that I use paragraph 17 to include some more details about this whole thing, that I'm gonna, for each property, I'm going to determine if the seller is offering compensation. So before preparing an offer, you will know if the seller is going to pay the compensation, and that you will not be liable for the compensation if that happens. So I use paragraph 17 and I reference paragraph 5 in that paragraph. So that's where I write in there. I said, prior to showing any properties, prior to showing any properties or making any offers, I will find out if the seller is offering compensation to the buyer's agent brokerage, and then I will we'll complete the addendum, you know, for each the addendum to this buyer's agency agreement, stating exactly what the obligations are going to be, so that they know up front. And I'm finding most of them are still offering 2%. No one has come back to me and said it's variable, it depends on what your offer is on, but I guess other people are experiencing that, but I haven't had that. I you know, so, and the addendum is specific to the property we're making the offer on, because now we have one buyer, exclusive buyer agency agreement, and the addendum goes with the property because it could change for the next property. So instead of doing this agreement over and over again, that's what the addendum can be used for. So I just remind them of that, you know, I kind of skip to that.
I like that, Fran. I do the same. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, I also, another thing that I do add to my exclusive buyer agency agreement, saying that buyer and buyer broker agree that this agency agreement may be amended at any time, because if you
Absolutely.
if you went to the commission and you only put, let's say, like 2%, you should have that conversation with your buyer saying, hey, that's fine. Because let's say Fran says, you know what, Adona, I can't pay you 3%, but I feel comfortable with 2%. In the event I do find a property that I love, my son or my husband will give me the 2% to pay you, but I can't agree to more than that. I want to tell Fran, okay, I agree to that. However, if I do find you a property that I will be able to get the my 2.5% or 3%, I want to be able to amend this agreement so I get paid. So therefore, I will add a clause that we can amend this agreement in the event we do come into that situation. Because
Wait, are you saying that if my agreement is for 2% with the buyer and the selling agent is offering 3%, you can get that additional percent if you amend?
Yes. So I'm not going to change this agreement because I don't want to sign a 5-page agreement every single time, right? So let's say my client said, yep, I'm okay with that, as long as I don't have to pay more than 2% to you in the event that we find a property, then, you know, they agree that I can amend it, right? Then it's fine. So I'm going to go back here. So I just saved it. Let's see. Right underneath, guys, there is a addendum right here, right? So the reason why I put it on the 3rd, so you see the CIS, because on the exclusive buyer agency agreement, when they sign, they're acknowledging that you provided them the CIS. So make sure you have them sign that. So here's the addendum. So Fran Blakely, I am the buyer's broker, autofill. So I'm going to say that this was the exclusive buyer agency agreement. Now, let's say today is October 1st, but I had her sign it on the 24th. So I'm saying I'm amending my buyer agency agreement from September 24th. So here, I'm going to say buyer, broker, commission has been change to 2.5%.
Seller is paying the compensation.
Seller is paying the compensation.
But you know, guys, you got to remember, it's easier if you do the 3%, like Adona said.
Yes.
Because then they're gonna say, well, if they're offering 2.5, can I get that extra half? Since I said I was only gonna pay you 2. You don't want to get into those conversations. If you do 3, if you can get them to sign the 3, you're much better off, because then it's done. You're not probably gonna get offered more than 3%, but then you look like more of a hero than being like you're taking the extra 0.5%, because they could then turn around and say, well, can I get that as a credit, or can I get that as a seller's concession? You know, you don't want to have those conversations. So doing the 3 is a good idea. Sorry, I think we're out of time
We
here.
are out of time. So next week is the 30th. I guess, you know, we can go over this again, guys. We just need to practice. Each week we'll have more questions, right? So if you guys, so next week we'll do something very similar. On the 8th, please save that date. So Tuesday the 8th, I do have Landquest Title, who has the Palm Agent app, which is, they're doing a demo, which we tried it in Franklin Lakes as well as Tin Falls. It is very, very helpful for us as buyers, like buyer's agent, even listing agent. So please save that date. We're going to send an invitation with more information so you guys know what to expect. But next week, October 1st, we'll just do another buyer agency. What I want to do actually is, you guys asked for us to provide you with a listing folder and a buyer folder. I think what we should do is we do it together, because if I fill it out, that's not helping you, right? You're still going to have questions. So why don't you guys, next Tuesday, we'll do the buyer loop. So we're going to create our own folder. So you guys are going to follow me along. If you guys want to go to your office, the manager can be there with you guys. They'll put it up on the screen, and that way you guys have your laptops out, or if you're doing it from home, then that's fine too. Just follow along with me and then you create your own loop as your example, because it's so much easier for you guys.
And then it's saved in your personal loop forever. And if you have a question, you can go back to it and look at it again.
Right. So I think, or if you guys want to print out the forms, now you know what's required. If you want to print them out and then write them as like we're going, you know, as I'm filling this out, you guys can do that as well. It's so much easier than me just giving you like, here you go. And then you're going to ask, but why do I need to write that? What was the reason? So if you follow along, I think it'll be so much easier for you guys.
Adona, why don't you show them how you can, in the buyer loop, go down and click off all the required forms and download them all at once. Like they all download together if you want to print them that way. You just go down.
Let's see, exclusive, CIS. Let's say you do the addendum, real estate contract, cooperating broker compensation agreement, wire fraud, informed to dual agency agreement, affiliated business disclosure, ARW. Let's see.
We have this in
I did
here
it twice.
Yeah.
Consent for electronic signatures, and I think that's all that's needed.
And then you would have added your lead paint and seller's disclosure on that end.
Obviously, yes. If you
Right.
needed, yes. So download.
And it puts it all in one PDF, and you can just print it all together. But you know, like it's 32 pages, so that's
There we
what,
go.
you know, it's easier to have it in the loop to remember it by, and then you can fill it out. So maybe we can have one property, you know, well, you don't want to do that, but you just come prepared with, you know, fictitious property that you're gonna sell, or, you know, whatever for next week.
Yes. So next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, bring your questions, review the dot loop. I just want to ask you guys to help me, because dot loop needed a lot of cleanup. We're almost there, but each time we upload new forms, MLS decides to change them. So it's not perfect. So please, if you do see something that's either missing or it's not right, just reach out to either your manager or reach out to me, and we'll make sure we get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.